Showtime at the NFL Draft is less than 48 hours away in Kansas City. Welcome to the Draft Preview Show, the Purple Huddle Podcast. Kevin, he's out today, but Durp and I will hold things down. Hey, Durp, you gonna join Jerry Jones on the yacht later this week?
I wish, man. I wish. No, I'll be at B-Dub scarfing down some wings with Mike.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes,
That's just
sir.
on Thursday?
Yeah. We always we always catch day one together. We've been doing it, I think, like the past 5 years or so, or I don't know where it just became a tradition out of nowhere. But yeah, we won't stay the whole time because we got work and we're old men. But
Understood.
we'll probably see the Commanders pick at 16 and then ask for the check.
Got you. All right, everyone. I don't watch much college football myself, so I don't really know much about the prospects like Durp does. But let's get to it. He has his mock draft put together. I'm going to run down the top 1 to 31, and if Durp has any trades or anything like that, he'll announce it as we go. But Panthers, they recently traded damn near everything to snag that number 1 spot earlier this year. So tell the Panthers fans who they'll be taking there to become the face of the franchise there in Carolina.
Well, originally, like I said on the last time we were on, I thought it was going to be Anthony Richardson just because that combine always gets him talking. He's throwing the balls into the roof and shit. But everything that I'm hearing is it's basically a lock that it's going to be Bryce Young at this point. I think that's the right pick if you're going quarterback. I think it's kind of 1A, 1B with him and Stroud, and then I think it kind of falls off from there. But everything that I'm seeing, I got Bryce Young going 1.
All right. On to number 2, Houston, they have a new head coach, D'Amico Ryans. He was a Pro Bowl linebacker we both watched growing up. Will he go with a defensive guy to get things going there in his regime or pick one of the top quarterbacks?
I mean, like I said before, if the Bears originally, I would have taken Will Anderson. But like you said, when the Panthers called and offered the entire state that they live in for that first pick, they didn't really have a choice. But if it were me with the Texans, I would take Will Anderson here, but I think that they're going to go ahead and gamble with CJ Stroud. And I don't mean gamble as in he's bad by any means, but like I said, I think it's Bryce Young and then, CJ Stroud is right there. But I think that they'll end up going quarterback because they've needed one for so long. So I don't think they can really afford to pass up on CJ Stroud, even though he is an Ohio State quarterback and they've never worked out in the league. But that's beside the point.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, turning the page, the Cardinals, they're set to pick at number 3. Who will become the top rookie in the desert come September?
All right, well, this is where I have my first trade happening.
Okay.
I have the Titans trading up from 11 to go to spot 3. And the only reason I have this happening is because, well, multiple reasons. The Titans have already said, basically it's like a fire sale. They're even trying to, they're listening to Derrick Henry trades, which I think will happen during this trade. And hopefully it's not to Philadelphia. But they are saying, they don't want Tannehill anymore. And
I don't blame him.
Right. He's got a $36 million cap hit. And when you look on the Cardinals side of things, you went from making the playoffs, you had Kyler Murray, D-Hop, and all this other stuff. D-Hop's going to be gone during this trade. And nobody really thinks that Kyler Murray is going to play next year. Because like I've said before, with this injury, they're talking about he might not come back till week 10, 11, 12. Sure. By then, you're going to have 1 or 2 wins. He's not going to come back out there. Yep. So with this trade, you can go ahead and you'll jump back from 3 to 11. You for the Cardinals, they'll jump back from 3 to 11. You can get Tannehill, rework his contract for 1 year, 16, 17, 18 $million, something like that. Get more capital for the future, and kind of rework things as they stand right now. Now, as far as the Titans, you get rid of Tannehill, you move up, you get Anthony Richardson. That's why I got them taken. You get one of the best prospects in a while as far as athleticism. And this division right now is wide open. So, the Jags won it last year, but like we've said before, the Jags got to show that they know how to win. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to take Anthony Richardson and you're just instantly going to shoot to the top, worst the first type situation, but they have good coaching down
They
there.
have a chance, yeah.
Right. They have really good defense. And I think that Anthony Richardson, with the right coaching, which they have, he could make some noise. I'm not saying rookie of the year, but I think that they would be smart in moving up and getting him.
Sounds good. All right. Anyone must be living under a rock if they don't think the Colts should take a quarterback in the first round. But the real question is, will they?
Well, they should. But Brandon, what do the Colts do with quarterback? They don't do it. They don't do it. So I think with it going, Young, Stroud, Richardson, I don't think that they reach and go with Will Levis here. I don't think that they do that because everything that I'm seeing about Will Levis is no matter how much Twitter and Reddit want to try and hype it up, and they're saying, oh, he's plus 200 to go, or minus 1,000 to go, second overall. That shit's not happening. Like I hear a lot of people comparing him to one of two quarterbacks. It's either Josh Allen or Zach Wilson. There's a lot of gray area in that middle. So I don't think that they're gonna do that. So what I have the Colts doing it for is I have them taking Will Anderson, and maybe later on they trade back into the first and try to get like a Hendon Hooker or something like that. But I don't think that they panic right now. Like I said, the most Colts move possible is to be able to maybe fix their quarterback situation and not doing it.
Yep. All right. So the Seahawks, they hold the number 5 pick thanks to the Russell Wilson trade last offseason. What do you have Seattle doing here?
I think this is a no-brainer for them. You take Jalen Carter. I understand, all the offseason stuff, and I feel like all of that's been cleared up. There's not really, character issues that I see. He was so dominant at Georgia, a big reason why they won the titles and everything while he was there. So I think, like I said, I think this is a no-brainer. You take Jalen Carter and move on.
All right. Detroit Lions fans, they're feeling good heading into the 2023 season. They had some drama last week, though. Will they go wide receiver at number 6 to make up for the suspension of Jameson?
If it was a year suspension, then maybe. But you still have St. Brown there. You now have David Montgomery. Jared Goff has been playing well. Your defense is what really needs to be worked on. So after getting rid of Jeff Okudah, I have them bringing in the number 1 corner in Devin Witherspoon from Illinois.
Okay.
I think he's one of those corners that you pretty much just bring in day one. He's your starter. He's your lockdown guy. I think he's going to transfer really well to the league. I watched the whole thing with Steve Smith talking on him, and he was saying like his biggest problems are sometimes he's too physical and sometimes he's too ready to make a play. And they were like, if those are your worst problems as a corner, you're going to do well. You can tone back on the aggressiveness and take that eagerness to make a play and kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily tone it down, but learn to develop it. And I think that he'll do just that and be really good in his league. And especially since A-Rod's not in that division no more.
Yeah. For sure. All right, Las Vegas, they'll be the host site of the Super Bowl next year. But as for now, their team has a lot of holes on that roster. Give us their number 7 pick.
Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. He ran, I think, the fastest 40, at least for a corner. I don't know about overall, but the fastest 40 for a corner. And, the Raiders, they love that speed. They could use some help in that secondary. I don't think they've had a really good corner since Nnamdi Asomugha, and now's your chance to get one. Yeah. So I think that it'll be back-to-back corners here.
All right, the Falcons are standing by at number 8. Who will join this fairly young roster there in the state of Georgia?
I have them going Bijan Robinson here. I know it's kind of taboo here lately to go running back so early, but this guy is generational. Is what they're saying. He's the next LaDainian Tomlinson. They're comparing him to a young AP. So I think that they go and get him with the young core that they have. That a rookie, or well, not a rookie anymore, but a new starter in Desmond Ridder.
Correct.
They have a decent offensive line there. They've shored up their secondary, so the defense should be pretty decent. and you have Kyle Pitts. So anything to help a young quarterback is, welcomed. And a young quarterback's best friend is tight end, good running
Hmm.
game, and a good O-line. So I think that they snag him here. I even heard him talking during an interview, and they asked him about the Falcons, and he said the meeting went really well. So I think that they go ahead and snag Bijan here.
Got you. All right. So the Bears, they now pick at number 9 after trading back with the Panthers earlier this offseason. Will they go offense to help Justin Fields, or will they bolster the defense here?
I think they go offense, but more in a sense of protecting Justin Fields and Peter
Protection, yeah.
Skoronski. Yeah, Peter Skoronski. I think for me, it's kind of a toss up between him and Paris Johnson at Ohio State. But from what I hear, a lot of people who do this stuff for a living, they have a slight tick on Peter Skoronski. So I think by them trading back out of the first pick, they basically said, told Justin Fields, here's the keys to the car, do your thing.
Mhm.
And the number one thing you want to do is keep him clean when he's in that
For sure.
pocket. I think that this is kind of a no-brainer. First O lineman off the board at 9.
All right, your arch rival Philadelphia Eagles, they round out the top 10. This will be their first of 2 picks in the first round heading into the draft. Give us their selection.
Well, I think that they go Nolan Smith out of Georgia here. Everything about this guy just screams Philadelphia Eagle. They're saying he's got some of the craziest bend that a lot of people have seen of players coming out and out of college into the pros. He's fast, physical. He can play with his hand in the dirt. He can stand up. They're getting older on both sides of the line there, and one thing that the Eagles love to do is stay fresh on both offensive line, defensive line.
Yeah.
So with Fletcher Cox getting older and other guys on that line, I think that they'll bolster that D line. Go with Nolan Smith.
All right. So as you mentioned earlier, you had the Cardinals trading back from number 3 to 11. That would move the Titans up, as you said. So where do you have the Cardinals going with their new head coach GM out there?
I think this is where the first receiver will come off the board. This would be Jackson Smith Najigba out of Ohio State. Like I said earlier, at some point I see D-Hop getting moved here. So, after D-Hop, then, you got a injured Hollywood Brown coming off. You got a injured Rondell Moore coming off. So, everything I see about Jackson Smith is just everybody's raving him to be the number 1 receiver. So I would think that, you kind of, once again, you prepare for the future of losing somebody and basically putting them right back in, kind of taking care of that position for when Kyler Murray does come back.
For sure. All right. And the Texans, they're back on the clock at number 12.
Yeah, with them taking CJ Stroud, I think now what your job is to protect him. And you go Paris Johnson here out of Ohio State that I mentioned earlier. Like I said, I think it's 1A, 1B with him and Peter Skoronski. And once again, you got to protect your young quarterback. And Paris Johnson is just the guy to do that.
All right. The trade is still kind of unofficial, but of course, we all know Aaron Rodgers. He's headed to the New York Jets. So that would give Green Bay the number 13 pick. Do you have your spot there with them, or do you want to go Jets?
I switched it. I switched it already.
Perfect. Who you got?
I have them going with Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. They lost. I can't think of his name right now.
Tunyon.
Yeah, Tunyon. Yeah. They lost. They lost Tunyon to the Bears. So once again, you're gonna have Jordan Love stepping in there. Their offensive line is getting older. Their defense has been carrying this team for the past couple of years. A-Rod and everything also, but
yep.
Him throwing 12 interceptions last year and all that. They weren't the Packers that we were used to. But once again, a young quarterback in Jordan Love. They already have a decent running game. They have Christian Watson. They have Romeo Doubs. So I think you give him kind of a security blanket and Michael Mayer and pair those two up and kind of help them, give them that stability as far as growing in their careers together and things like that. Everything I've seen is he's by far the number one tight end in this class. Dalton Kincaid is a close second, but where Michael Mayer is much better than Kincaid is he's a phenomenal blocker. So basically, you're when he's not going out, you're adding another lineman to protect this young quarterback. So that's what I think. That's what I think they should do, but we'll see.
Heading back to the East Coast, everyone, the Patriots, they're set to pick at number 14. Always a wild card with them, right?
Yeah, I've seen mock drafts everywhere from them going with Anthony Richardson to Bijan Robinson to offensive linemen. But I have them going with Miles Murphy, the defensive end out of Clemson. This guy should be a top 10 pick, but it was just so hard for me to find these teams in the top 10 have so many needs besides the fucking Eagles, but they have they have so many needs that it was hard to find a place where he would fall in. So I think honestly they're getting a steal. He should be top 5, top 10, but this class is so stacked when it comes to pass rushers and defensive players that it was just hard to find. So once again, but as far as what I have it, the Patriots get lucky again.
Okay, again, the Jets will now pick at 15. A lot of people will be watching them here as they, of course, they drafted the Defensive Rookie of the Year last year in Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Will they strike gold again?
We will see. With now getting A-Rod, your number one job is to keep that man's jersey clean. I think he's going to wear 8 now instead of wearing 12.
Correct.
So I have them going with Broderick Jones, the offensive lineman out of Georgia, just a big mauler, huge guy. And I think you can literally plug him in anywhere on the line, whether it be tackle, guard, left, right side, and it'll work out. And like I said, A-Rod will love that.
Sounds good. The Commanders, they have 8 picks to start the draft, but give us their first rounder.
I have them going Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. They have very good front seven when healthy. Arguably one of the best front sevens in the league. Like I said, when healthy. And one thing that they could definitely use help in is the secondary. They still have Fuller. Shout out V-Tech. They have 2 safeties in Cameron Curl, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he came on pretty good last year. But I think that they could use help with that secondary. And once again, Joey Porter Jr. just seems like one of those guys you can just plug him in, and he'll be ready to rock. Everybody who has a junior in their name, when they get drafted, they're all pros instantly. So we'll see.
For sure. All right. Not our favorite team here, but the Steelers, they hold the number 17 pick after narrowly missing the playoffs last season. Of course, they drafted the only quarterback in the first round in 2022. So I'm pretty sure they won't go that route this year.
No, I have them going Deonte Banks, corner out of Maryland. You look at their depth chart, it's like their corners are Patrick Peterson, and then who are these guys? You don't really know who they are. So I think you take Deonte Banks. He was phenomenal at Maryland. You put him in there, put him under Pat P, let him learn for a year or two, however long he's there, pair him up with Minka and all them. I think he'll fit right in.
All right, don't look, but the Detroit Lions, they're back on the clock.
Yep, I'm going to give them Dalton Kincaid after losing Hawkinson to the Vikings, which doesn't make any sense to me to this day why you would help out, a division rival, but whatever. I have them going Dalton Kincaid. I think he's arguably the most athletic tight end in this class. Only one who might be more athletic is Darnell Washington out of Georgia, but Kincaid, like I said, he's right there with Michael Mayer. But I think that offense was at times showed so many flashes. I think they were averaging like 30-some points at one point.
Yeah.
So after they got rid of Hawkinson, I couldn't even tell you who was their tight end after that. So I think this is where they shored up and help out Goff and everyone on that offense.
Tom Brady, he's left the building. Things don't look so bright down there in Florida. How will the Bucs improve their roster there at 19?
I think that this is the perfect place for Will Levis to land. I don't know if he's going to get taken beforehand or what,
Yep.
but you can. I think if he falls to the Bucks, it'll be very good for him. You can sit behind Baker Mayfield and take over for him after Week 11 or something like that. Learn from him. He's not going to. Baker Mayfield's not going to be their starter all year. Like that's just not going to happen. So you can go in. They have good coaches. They have decent offensive line, a good defense. They have two stellar receivers, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Will Levis, if there's one thing any and everybody has said about him is his arm strength. And when Brady was there last year, they had the most pass attempts, the most pass attempts per game, all those things. So they're going to need, if they want, keep that going, then you would need somebody with a strong arm. Like I said, I'm not saying necessarily Baker Mayfield, who any quarterback would love to learn after, but he's still a competent-ish quarterback. He can go in, learn in training camp, and like I said, at some point take over the reins for Baker and hopefully do well.
All right, the Seattle Seahawks, they're back on the clock. They're fresh off of a 9-8 season where they shocked a lot of people, including myself, and made the playoffs. Who will they take here to help them get back to the big dance?
I have them taking Tyree Wilson, outside linebacker out of Texas A&M. They could really use some help shoring up that defensive line. I think this is just the guy to do it. He had a really good career at A&M. And, like I said, I don't really know too many people who could name pass rushers on the Seahawks right now. So I think he could come in. You can plug him in wherever on that O-line, and he'll help them get more pressure on the quarterback and get that ball back in Geno's hands.
For sure. Only one Los Angeles team has a pick in the first round this year, and it's the Chargers. Pretty good roster, in my opinion, but who will they add there at 21?
I have them going Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU. I know that they have, of course, I can't think of their names. Keenan Allen and
Williams.
Michael Williams. But it seems like every week, one of them, if not both of them, are hurt. At one point, I think Herbert was going out there, and he was having to throw to Josh Palmer and stuff like that. And that's no diss to Josh Palmer, but he's no Keenan Allen.
Sure.
Keenan Allen's been good his entire career, but he just can't stay on the field. Since I've been kind of following the wide receivers in this draft for a while, I thought that Quentin Johnson would be the first wide receiver taken in this draft. His route running is impeccable. His speed is great. I think his route running is probably the best in this entire draft class. And with a offense like the Chargers, they're very time-based, So I think that he would come in and fit right in. And like I said, when one or two of them were to go down, Herbert would still have somebody that he could rely on.
Got you. My Ravens are on the clock now. Let's see. Wide receiver, defensive back, left guard, pass rusher. You got us taking any of these positions?
Yes, I have you going wide receiver, Zay Flowers. Okay. Now, Zay Flowers is on the smaller side, but y'all never stray away from that. I think he's only 5'10", but much like Quentin Johnston, his route running is amazing. It's damn near flawless. He's very, very fast. So he's good at getting in and out of breaks and, doing things as far as, cuts and comebacks and things like that. Y'all like to throw those slants and those out routes and things like that. So I think that he could come there and provide a reliable target for whoever is going to be throwing that football.
Yeah. Thanks for that. All right. 13-4 was the record of the Vikings last year. They had a pretty good electric offense out there. Will they invest their first rounder on that side of the field, though?
See, the Vikings is one of those teams where I'm not really sure what they're going to do, because I've seen mocks where they take Hendon Hooker, and I could see that happening because they didn't extend Kirk.
Correct.
They're just going to let him ride out on that big old guaranteed contract that they gave him. They're talking about they might trade Dalvin Cook, which is insane to me, but
Yeah.
they don't really have too many things as far as corners go, but they also don't have anybody out there to catch the ball outside of Justin Jefferson. So I'm
Yeah.
going to go 3 receivers in a row here. Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. He's a guy on the bigger side. He's got shorter hands. He had a good career. And like I said, I think that if they could add, somebody else on the opposite side, especially now that Thielen's gone, I think Jordan Addison could step in, learn a lot from Justin Jefferson, and do really well in this offense.
Coming off of a quarterback with a Heisman Trophy win out there on the West Coast. All right, for the first time in several years, the Jags don't hold the top pick. They're now on the clock at 24.
I have them getting Lucas Van Ness, defensive end out of Iowa. This is another guy who should be probably a top 10, top 15 pick, but these teams have so many needs, and there's guys that I think that fit better with teams or are just better in some regards than him. Not to say that he's not good, but they don't really have too much of a pass rush. I think he could go there. He had a very good career at Iowa. He played very well there. I think he could step right in and give them that pass rush and help out that secondary that they need.
All right, another one of Durp's rivals will pick at 25. Saquon, of course, he hasn't signed his franchise tag, but Daniel Jones, he's back in the saddle for another 4 years. Who's their selection here?
Unfortunately, I have them going Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee. I spoke about him before on here, and he went to the combine and all that. He tore it up. I think he ran like a 4.2 or 4.3, something like that. Very, very fast guy. You watch this dude's tape, and his highlights are just him catching the ball with the nearest defender 5 yards behind him. He is crazy fast. So I think that they could use somebody to stretch the field, somebody to help out Danny Nichols down there, and yeah. Like I said, unfortunately, I have them going with the speedster out of Tennessee.
Got you. All right, the moment of truth, Cowboys Nation, listen up. Our resident Cowboys fan, Durp, he's about to tell us who he thinks Stephen Jones will take here at 26.
There's been speculation that we could move up. I've heard things as outlandish as we trade for Derrick Henry. But they talked to Jerry Jones today, and he said the same shit. He says every draft, we could move up, we could stay in place, we could move back. It's like, no shit, those are your only 3 options. But I think if we stay put at 26 and this guy's here, we have to take him. Kalijah Cansey, defensive tackle out of Pitt. They compare him to Aaron Donald. Yep. Not to say he's gonna be Aaron Donald, but like they're the same height, the same weight. Sure. They say they play the same position. They play for the same school. Like you look at the tape, and he's got that. I think he's only like 5'10" or something like that. But so is Aaron Donald, and they have that low leverage. And that's one thing that we haven't had in a while is a dominant defensive tackle. We have Osa, who is very good, but Neville Galmore, he is good, but once again, he has a hard time staying out there, and he shows flashes. But I think if this guy is here, we have to take him.
That would be scary next to number 11 for sure. All right, on the same side of the field for sure. But yeah, the Bills, they were embarrassed in the playoffs early this year by the Bengals. They thought adding Von Miller last year would have helped them, but of course he got hurt. Who can they take here to hopefully help them reach the Super Bowl?
One thing that this Bills team has been lacking in since Josh Allen basically got there is a running game. They always rely on Josh Allen. He's their leading rusher. He's their leading rushing touchdown scorer. So I have them going Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. He's on the smaller side. He's smaller than Bijan Robinson, but his route running, his catching out of the backfield is immaculate. So much to the point where they compare him to Alvin Kamara from the Saints. He's a speedster, in Alabama, you're not just some scrub if you're playing running back for Alabama, or on the team in general. So I think that this would be a match made in heaven, especially for Josh Allen. Get the ball out of his hand quick on screens or stretch plays or tosses or whatever it may be. Take some hits off of Josh Allen and make that Bills offense even more feared. Because if you got this guy who can basically catch it and take it at any point, that has you have to bring in help for him or stack the box or whatever that may be. So I think that if he was there at 27, they'd be fools not to take him.
For sure. All right, the Bengals pick at 28. Is there any way we can just take away all their picks?
Unfortunately for y'all, no. They just picked up Joe Burrow's fifth-year option, which who would have guessed? Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah.
But I think that they are going to go ahead and get Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama, back-to-back Bama players here.
Yeah, they did lose theirs.
They just lost
Bates.
Jesse Bates to Atlanta. So I think Brian Branch could step right into that position and kind of shore up that secondary for them. I don't think they really need too much help on offense right now to go anything on the offensive side of the ball. And like I said, you take Brian Branch, basically, clear up a position that was lost in the offseason.
Okay. Derek Carr, he appears to be the man down in the Big Easy, but tell New Orleans fans who they should expect to see come off the board here.
I would go. Well, I have them going Keon White, defensive end out of Georgia Tech. As you can tell, there's a billion. Pass rushers in this draft class. Yeah, in this draft class, I think it's very heavy in corner, pass rush, and offensive lineman, tight end also. But Keon White, he was good at Georgia Tech. The Saints are kind of in an in-between stage right now. Then, especially on their defensive line, Cam Jordan's getting older. A lot of their guys are getting older. So I think you bring in some fresh legs, plug on the other side of him, and kind of try and wreak some havoc in this wide open NFC South.
Okay, so now the Super Bowl participants will get to pick. Of course, the Eagles, they picked earlier at number 10. They have number 30 again, and the Chiefs will complete the first round at 31. Who you got for both teams?
Well, like I said earlier, I had them going with Nolan Smith to shore up the defensive line. Now we're going to go on the other side, and we're going to give them Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee. Now they have, like last year, they had they drafted a center, and Cam Jurgensen or something like that. Basically, he's waiting in the wings to take over for when Kelsey retires. I think they do the same thing here. He might get on the field a little more, but you put Darnell Wright in there. Lane Johnson just signed another 1-year deal. He's probably gone after this year. Then boom, you slap this guy in there, and you don't miss a beat in protecting your franchise big money making quarterback.
Yep.
And as far as the Chiefs go, I think they do this same exact thing that they did last year. They just let whoever falls to them, and they take another pass rusher because they always need pass rushers down there. It kind of seems like of course, their offense, puts up mega points, but their defense is always, kind of middle of the pack. The guy that they drafted last year, he kind of came on as of late. Of course, they have Chris Jones in the middle, but I have them going Will McDonald, one more defensive end out of Iowa. I think he could come right in and play really well for them, help out getting to the quarterback and doing what they always want to do, and that's getting the ball back in Patrick Mahomes' hands.
All right. So my next question is, will we see anybody out of Blacksburg come off the board, or maybe undrafted free agents, anybody coming out of Virginia Tech?
Well, unfortunately, the Hokies they won 3 games. So we don't really have a lot going on. We brought in a good amount of players from through the portal, and I've been watching the spring game and stuff like that, and it's looking promising. However you want to quote that, but only 2 players that I see that could maybe be drafted, or if they were undrafted free agents, that let's say the Cowboys or even the Ravens or whoever it may be, if they were to go to a team, I would be like, y'all got a really good player. Is our safety, free safety, Chamari Connor. He's projected to maybe go in the 7th round.
Okay.
For his career, 315 tackles, 207 were solos. He had 4 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles. He had 60 solo tackles in 2020 that led the ACC and was 4th in the nation. He's a decent sized safety, 6 foot, 208. He's got great athleticism. He's very versatile. One of those guys you can kind of move all around the chessboard. A decent 40 of a 4.51. That's pretty decent, and a really good vertical of 40 and a half. Like I said, he's projected to go in the 7th round. I could see him making a practice squad, kind of making some noise. But my main guy is Dax Hollifield, inside linebacker. Once again, they have him projected 7th round or high priority free agent. Mm-hmm. But while he was here at Virginia Tech, anytime you've seen a big stop come in a game for Virginia Tech, they were saying Holyfield. Like, he's a very good instinctive linebacker. He's more quick than he is fast, but has very good instincts for a middle linebacker. So if he were to go anywhere on anybody's team, especially if you get him as an undrafted free agent, I think that would be a phenomenal pickup.
Okay, so of course it's that time of year draft. We're about to have rookie mini camps, all that type of stuff. So the guys that have a stellar career and just people in general coming out of college, what's the hardest position to transition to the NFL in your opinion?
See, for the longest time, I wanted to say quarterback just because I feel like that's probably the hardest position in sports, in my opinion, especially because of how quick things will turn on you. Come out, have a good game, come out the next game, throw 2 picks, you're not the starter anymore. But here lately, you have, of course, they're not the outlier, but, you have guys like Joe Burrow, you have guys like Herbert, and, these guys who come straight in and they're just, they just got it. It's instant.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that probably the hardest one, I don't know. I feel like it might be probably offensive tackle, just because you always hear guys come into the league and the first thing out of their mouth is the speed is different. And I've seen things where guys have said, they're offensive tackles and the ball is hiked, and before they're out of their stance, the quarterback's getting sacked. These guys are just these pass rushers nowadays, they're coming out and running 4.4s, 4.5s. Back in the day, if you were a running back and you ran that, you were a first round pick. Now these guys are coming out here and they're just crazy athletes. And I think a close second has to be corner, because when you come out as a cornerback, you've heard it a billion times. The number one thing is confidence, swagger. Well, when you come out as, a rookie cornerback, no matter where you're taken in the draft, second you step on the field, there's going to be at least one point where you're like, damn, I at some point I might have to guard Justin Jefferson or or Joe Burrow's back. Exactly. Joe Burrow's back here throwing the ball, or Aaron Rodgers, this legend, is back here slinging the ball. So I think it takes, unless you're Sauce Gardner, it takes a minute to get your swagger and kind of get your head around the game. As far as transitioning from, playing guys that, you might have known since you were in high school or whatever. But now, when you're over into the big leagues, I think that's got to be a hard task to conquer.
For sure. I'm on the same page with you. Like, of course, quarterback is probably the top thing that comes to mind. You got to go out there and learn the entire playbook, read defenses on the fly. You got to get your guys set up. You're responsible for that, and hope your line can protect you in the process. Turn the ball over. Like you said, you're going on the bench. But if I had to choose besides that, again, we're in agreement. Defensive back, corner in particular. To think you got to cover by somebody's sideline to sideline for 3 to 4 seconds at the minimum, that's kind of grueling, coming to the league like that. Especially, you mentioned the Justin Jeffersons of the world, the Jamar Chases of the world, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, all those guys, speedsters. It's a tough feat, especially for the rookie coming in. And these wideouts getting faster and faster. But again, the offensive line, you're getting bull rushed on damn near every play. Like, you're trying to hit the snap count on the road. That's always a problem for rookies. Then you deal with the guys like the Bosas and the Watts. just to name a few. And of course, the big guy in the center, you mentioned Aaron Donald earlier. Your quarterback's life is on the line. So, yeah, that's definitely a tough transition, too. So, we're on the same page, too. I go with pretty much the entire offensive line. But, yeah, those tackles are definitely probably on the chopping block the most, and defensive back, especially corner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, Mr. Irrelevant last year. We got to talk about him. Brock Purdy, of course, he's coming off the injury in the NFC Championship game. What he led the team to like 10 straight wins or something like that there in San Francisco, was the final pick of the draft last year. Is there anybody that you think that will be picked here that we'll be talking about in the same sense or close to Brock Purdy?
I don't know if anybody could step in and do it the way he did.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody's seen that. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that if Brock Purdy had have ended up in the same situation, but he was on the Titans, we wouldn't even know his name, you know.
Mhm.
But he ended up going to the 49ers. He went to probably one of the best head coaches in the league right now with the best system. You look at that roster. You got big old Trent Williams protecting you. You got George Kittle protecting you and making amazing catches, over the middle, deep, whatever it is. You got Debo, who can catch a slant and take it 80 yards. You got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield.
Yep.
So it's like you got a plethora of weapons around you. And once again, that's not a shot at him. He just ended up landing in the perfect spot.
Oh, yeah, I feel you.
Tom Brady situation. If Tom Brady had went to the Bengals back in the day, he wouldn't have 7 rings.
Yeah.
You know, he just ended up in the right position. When you first asked this question, I was like, man, this is a wild question because, how could you possibly predict this? But then I looked into it, and I believe it's the Houston Texans picked last, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't even look.
I'm pretty sure the Houston Texans picked last this year.
Got you.
So, I was like thinking, no way of telling how this could go. But what I did finally land on is just a shot in the dark. I think it could end up being Stetson Bennett.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
Yeah, I think Mike had asked me, because he was trying to bet on it, go figure, if about Stetson Bennett or whatever, and I was like, I've heard, he will probably get drafted or whatever, and then I looked into it, and they were saying that people believe that he has maybe some character issues, and basically that he was kind of carried, which we all know that, but he was kind of carried, and the fact that I think he's like 25.
Yeah, he is.
So, he's definitely going to fall in this draft, if not go undrafted. But I could see an instance where, the Texans are, going up for their last pick. He's still there, and they go, maybe we should bring this guy in kind of as insurance to CJ Stroud.
Sure.
Bring him in, it's not a quarterback competition by any means, but just, insurance for him, kind of feel it out. And if it don't work, we'll just let him go. Kind of like how the Redskins did back in the day when they took RG3, 2nd overall, and then in the 4th round, they took Kirk Cousins. So, yeah, I think that I kind of looked into it with other names, but I didn't really see, anybody else who really caught my eye. Like, I looked at a couple things, but basically it's just like shots in the dark. Like, one guy said Jake Hayner from Fresno State, and basically the only reason was is because he kind of reminds him of Purdy, and he's gritty and deceptively active or athletic. Take that how you want. That's basically just a guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Stetson Bennett, because Rashad and I was talking about him a couple months ago when the whole Lamar thing was getting worse, and he was like, "Yeah, y'all should just draft him." Shortly after the whole college playoffs and everything, and I was like, "I don't want his old ass. I mean, he just his old ass." Yeah, Lamar Jackson. It's like, why we gonna get a guy? It's like bringing in what was it, Brandon Anderson back in the day? I think who's the guy? Derek Anderson. Was that the one that went to the Browns? And he was drafted. Oh, Brandon Whedon.
Brandon Whedon.
Names. I got the names all mixed together.
Well, I can never forget, because he was our quarterback at one point.
Oh yeah. So I'm like, why would I want somebody like him as old as he is? And then I started thinking about it more and more. I was like, I don't know if we had hired the offensive coordinator by then. It's been a while since we talked about it. But they do have that connection. Of course, he was the offensive coordinator there the last couple of years. With him, they have went to the title game, or all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I hope not.
Y'all only have what, 6 picks?
Yes, we need to
I don't
use
think
them wisely.
you're not gonna use one of Stetson Bennett.
We can't afford to miss on this one of all drafts for sure. All right. Speaking of picks, of course, the Jets gave up a lot to get Aaron Rodgers. So let's talk about him. Does that make the Jets contenders, pretenders? What exactly you're feeling at this moment if the season started today with the Jets?
I have them as for sure making the playoffs. As long as Aaron Rodgers plays every game, I don't think that there's any chance that they miss the playoffs. They have a top 5 to 7 defensive unit as long as it plays like it has been. Their coach is one of my favorite in the league, Robert Saleh. They have a great wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. Then they brought over Alan Lazard. You know, their tight end did pretty well last year. Brees Hall's tweeting, you know, oh, all of a sudden my knee's feeling a little better.
Yeah, I know,
So
right?
the players are buying. Yeah, the players are buying in. They're changing their Twitter profile pictures to Aaron Rodgers back when he was at Cal. So I think that the players are so in, and you know, Sauce and all of them wanted this for so long that you know it finally happened. Like I said, only thing I could see getting in their way, which I hope doesn't happen, knock on wood, you know, injuries getting in their way.
For sure.
But I think that they'll roll over the Patriots, no problem. Even though Bill always conquers them, they've never had an Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think that they're better than the Dolphins in a lot of regards. And if Tua can come back and play like he was playing before the concussions, then you know I think that they have a chance. I think at the end of the day, it'll be the Bills and the Jets fighting for that division title. But this AFC is so stacked now. It's crazy. Like the Chiefs, Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, Bills, Jets. All these teams are so good that 7 teams get into the playoffs now. You might have to win 11 games just to get that 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see the way it goes. But I mean, for right now, I have them for sure going at least making the playoffs, whether that be as a 1 through 7 seed or wild card, whatever it is. But I think that this instantly makes them a favorite because I mean, you look at the games that they played last year; they were so close on all these games, but unfortunately, you got Joe Flacco, who's the elite Joe Flacco out there throwing, and Zach Wilson and Mike White, and the names go on and on. And they were fighting and clawing the whole time. So this brings more than stability. Only thing that I will say with this trade is I do feel like the Jets were fleeced when it comes to how much they got back, because that second pick that they swapped picks this year, but that second that they gave up is going to be a first. He's going to play 65% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna become a first. So the picks that they got back in return, and one thing that I can't really get out of my mind, and I'm sure that obviously the Jets have thought about this, and maybe they even spoke to Aaron Rodgers, but who's to say that Aaron Rodgers plays beyond this year?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Because
how long do we realistically think he's going to play?
He's what, 39 at this point, about to be 40. So I mean, he's had such a great career, and last year, like I said, through the 12 interceptions, I think only like 26 touchdowns. But once again, he was trying to get the rookie receivers to get going. Christian Watson didn't get going to the end of the year. Romeo Doubs was hurt. But like I said, I don't know if maybe they've got verbal commitment from him or whatever, but I mean we'll see how it goes, because with Aaron Rodgers you never know, they could come out here and fuck around, win 7 games or some shit, and then he'd be like, you know what, this ain't for me, and now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, as of a 1-year situation right now, you're talking right now this upcoming season, I think it's very good, but I'm kind of weary on the future as far as that goes.
For sure. Just a couple things. I mean, a couple things come to mind. You mentioned the Jets players changing their Twitter pictures and everything. I just think back to the and Brees Hall saying that his knee, feels good and all that kind of stuff. I just think back to last year when they made the quarterback switch from Zach Wilson to Mike White or whoever, or maybe it was Flacco, and it was like the players were like totally different. I think they had different shirts on, stuff like that. I was like, these Jets players are something else for real. But I mean, I really like Brees Hall. I really liked him last year when they drafted him. Um, him going there. Of course, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I think they'll do good. The only thing that concerns me, like you said, will knock on wood, will they not get hit with the injury bug or anything like that? No type of serious injury again. And I believe Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator out there. And
Yeah,
we all know what happened in Denver. Of course, he started out calling the plays. It was a mess. You could blame it on Russ. You could blame it on him. But at the end of the day, that was under his name. And when you think back to Green Bay, yes, he was there for 3+ years or whatever with Aaron Rodgers, but he wasn't calling plays out there. It was all Mike. Was it Matt LaFleur? Was it Mike?
yeah,
Matt?
yeah,
Yeah, Mike
yeah.
used to be the OC in New York.
Right.
Okay, so Matt LaFleur and of course Aaron Rodgers calling the shots out there. So to me, I'm not too sold on the fact of, besides the continuity between them two, of course, Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. He's been, what, 16, 17 years in the league, whatever. He knows how to, he knows how to read the defense. He knows how to learn the playbook, all that type of stuff. I don't doubt that. It's the fact of Nathaniel Hackett coming in and calling the plays. I just don't trust him right now as an offense coordinator. But with that being said, like you said, I do put him, of course, above Tua out there. I'm not sold on the Dolphins. I wasn't sold on them last year, even though he lit us up for 6 touchdowns. And they came back from 28, 21 points down in the fourth quarter to beat us.
Yeah, but I think that was more of a collapse on y'all's part than a
Yeah,
triumphant
defensive
comeback on
collapse.
their
Yeah,
part. Yeah.
for sure. And the Bills, in my opinion, took a step back last year as well. You can say what you want to about the injuries. Of course, Von Miller. Um, you know, I, I I just don't. They're not the Bills they were a couple years ago, in my opinion. So, like you said, I think it'll come down to the um, Jets and the Bills. I do give the edge to the Bills right now, just because we've seen them. We've seen them together as an offense. Of course, Josh Allen does his thing, and again, we got to see how this is all going to form. It all looks good on paper, but how will it look on the field come September is the question for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I think the players are buying in right
Oh
now,
yeah,
and Robert Saleh is a coach that anybody in the league would be happy to
would
play
love to
for,
play. Yeah,
right? So I think that'll play a big part. Like you said with the Bills, I do feel you on that part as far as they don't really feel like the same Bills, especially after Stephon Diggs going off on the sideline and everything like that. The Bills remind me of, remember when the Colts were always really really good
yeah.
in the
In
in
the
the
regular
in the regular
season.
season, and then they would get to the playoffs, and then they would just crumble, and they were like,
Yep.
"Damn, I don't know if Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning can do this." It reminds me of them a lot, and so much in the sense of like the Colts kept running into Tom Brady, well the Bills
Hmm.
keep running into Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So it's like they got to figure out how to get over that hump, and if it's one thing that Aaron Rodgers has been to a Super Bowl and won it,
Hmm.
you know, but on the same regard, he's been to how many NFC championships and
Yeah.
loses them like all the time, but he don't got the San Francisco 49ers to run into now.
Correct.
So I don't like we said, I think it'll come down to them too. As far as right now, it's a cool trade, to be a football fan, to see this going on. It'll definitely make for some good football.
For sure. Let's get quick thoughts real quick on a guy that you mentioned earlier, then we'll head on out of here. D Hop. Of course, you mentioned earlier in the offseason, probably a little bit last year, you kind of linked him to New England. Do you still feel that way? Do you think he'll get moved on draft night? How do you see that playing out
I think there's without a doubt, this draft will not end without D Hop
on a new team? Yeah.
yeah, on another team. As far as him going to the Patriots, I don't know. He was on an interview with Brian McFadden, and they were talking about teams, and they were like, well, you can't really like say like I want to go to this team or whatever it may be. So why don't you kind of gesture or whatever. And when they had mentioned, I think they mentioned the Jets, and he like kind of didn't really get excited or anything. And then they mentioned the Patriots, and he like didn't make any reaction whatsoever. So I don't know if he would go there. I think even with um lost my train of thought. Even with what's his face?
Quarterback. Not.
Yeah, no, even with
Yeah.
what's his face going to the Bears. Who's the receiver that they traded to from Moore?
Carolina, DJ Moore. Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Moore. I think even with him going there, I think the Bears, they have Darnell Mooney, and you can move him over to the slot. But D Hop, I think he would go very, very well with them. I think he would go phenomenal with y'all, even with you getting OBJ. I think he would go
Yep.
really well there. Some team will make a move. I could see him going to the Commanders. They always need receiver
Ooh.
help. So I think it'll just be a matter of time. He could go, the Raiders fuck around and team him up with
Jimmy G.
Adams. Yeah. So I mean, it's a plethora of teams. There's 31 other teams that I've seen. I'm sure that have interest in him. I've even seen it to where they've talked about him coming to the Cowboys. He was out working out with Des Bryant, and they went live or whatever, and he got on there and was like, Cowboys Nation, I heard y'all talking about me. What's up? Michael Parsons is tweeting to him like, with the shrugging emoji, like, come on over. So I think it'll be a matter of time. They've come out and said that they don't even want a first. They'll take a second. So I think a team will, give them a second, and here's a second and a sixth. And then he's going to want a new contract. He himself has even said that he is willing to work with a team, and he doesn't want like that top money like he got before. He knows he's 30 years
For
old.
sure.
He knows he's coming off of that suspension. So, like I said, I think it's just a matter of time. And of course, him shrugging or saying whatever, it doesn't matter, because if Bill Belichick wants you, he's going to go get you.
Yeah.
So he could still end up on the Patriots. He just don't want to catch balls from Mac Jones, which who would?
Exactly. I was going to say that.
So, and I've also heard rumors of maybe he could get moved too. Mac Jones and Trey Lance, and they were, both early picks a couple years ago. So I don't know. I think there's gonna be a lot of moving parts in this draft. I just hope that nobody in my division is part of them, especially Mike, because I was sitting right across from him eating. And last year, man, we're sitting there watching. He jumped up out the table. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, if this is right, watch this. And he points at the screen, breaking AJ Brown to the
Yep.
Man. Fucking Howie Roseman, man.
I thought he was earning that contract extension. He was earning that paycheck. That's why he put that roster together last year. But a couple reactions to your D-Hop to the Bears sounds good as far as a money standpoint, because I know you mentioned he probably don't, he realizes his age and his value right now. But they definitely had the money, at least heading into the free agency, and I don't think they made a lot of moves, if I'm not mistaken, to run that cap down any. But and they also have the draft ammo, of course, with Carolina giving them the whole house for that first pick. And then y'all, that would be a good pickup for y'all, obviously, as well, to get them down there with a CD Lamb, and who's the other guy y'all picked up? Brandon Cooks.
Oh yeah,
Gallup.
Well, Brandon Cooks also, but yeah. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
As wild as it is, I keep forgetting that we got Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. I was thinking T.Y. when you was talking. I was like, let me not say T.Y. So yeah, I think that'll definitely be a good pickup there. But yeah, we'll see. It's funny. We'll see. I forgot all about that AJ Brown trade last year when you mentioned y'all meet up on draft night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only imagine. All right, everyone. So NFL draft. Go ahead. You got something?
Oh no, I was just today is my girl's niece's birthday. So happy birthday, happy 12th birthday to Kylie. That's all I want to say.
For sure. Happy birthday. All right. So the NFL draft gets started on Thursday night, of course, 8 p.m. Eastern. Contingent of Friday and Saturday. That'll be what everybody have on if you want to watch NBA playoffs besides that. Hopefully your team gets the picks and the players you need. I know my team only has 6, so I won't be watching much past Monday night. And then, one thing about the Ravens real quick is that you probably know this. We generally trade back in the first round. It never fails. Like the year that we traded back into the first round to get Lamar, even though it was at 32, I was damn near shocked. Like I was like, what the hell? I did not expect that at all. So I don't know what to expect come Thursday night with us.
Yeah, y'all have traded back with us before. There's been times when y'all
Yeah.
done that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said in my mock draft, I have with the Colts taking Will Anderson at 4. I could definitely see them trading back into the first with y'all and going and getting Hendon Hookerson or
Yep.
Hooker, whatever his name is, Henderson Hooker, out of Tennessee. I could see that happening because, like you said, y'all are never afraid to move, and
Yeah.
that would give you more draft capital to work with. But
And this year,
y'all always,
ahead.
y'all always know what you're doing when it comes to the draft. So
For sure,
6
yeah.
picks or not, I always will respect what Ozzy and them do.
Yeah, it was one thing we don't do well is free agency, in my opinion, but we definitely get drafts pretty good. And undrafted free agents. We typically have one guy that always makes the roster and he makes noise. From undrafted free agents. I mean, it's been so many of them over the years, man. To list there. So yeah, hopefully we make some value with this draft. I wouldn't mind trading back if it means to get more picks, just because, like I said, we generally do well in the later rounds as well. So I don't feel comfortable with 6 picks right now. So we got. I mean, it's bad when we ain't got no whatever the hell it's called. Them damn picks there.
Compensatory.
Yeah, thank you. We ain't had none of them this year. I remember saying that in the group text. Like, it was like, come on, man, what are we doing? So yeah. And real quick, last year we had 6 4th-round picks, and now we got 6 overall. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. When you had told me that, not that I know you know your shit. I looked it up. And I was like, is that for real? Because that just doesn't sound right. And especially after I seen the 49ers, I sent y'all that thing.
Yep.
And they got like six compensatory picks. I think they picked like 4 times in the 5th round or something.
But what's crazy about them is they say that they don't pick until
the 3rd round.
Yeah. It's like, how the hell they got that many picks overall and don't pick? Because don't they got like 12 overall? Something like that.
Something like that. It's that Trey Lance trade that's fucking them up.
Yeah.
They gave up all that shit just to trade him this year.
Like you said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised he get moved too. The only reason why I wouldn't say now is because obviously Brock is going to be the starter if he's healthy, which we don't think it's going to be by the time training camp. And you got Sam Darnold, seeing Ghost Darnold out there.
Yeah,
they got some insurance, but I just don't see Trey Lance being there much longer.
Yeah, my whole thing is, like I said, if you trade Trey Lance, okay, you get rid of him or whatever. He was the 3rd pick overall. You traded up to make him the 3rd pick overall. You got to get some type of something back. So I mean, whatever they're going to be asking for, other teams are probably not going to want to move or give up a 2nd or whatever it is. Let's say you do move him. They talked to Brock Purdy. He said he don't even know if he's going to be able to play this year. So are you just going to go into this year like, oh, our offense is so good, so well schemed, and our defense is just so ferocious that we can go back to the NFC Championship with Sam Darnold? Because I'm sorry, Smitty, but that's not happening. You can love your team as much as you want. Sam Darnold's not getting you to the playoffs. So
you're right.
They got some figuring out to do as far as that goes.
I would not. And you mentioned how well of a coach Kyle Shanahan was earlier, and we all know John Lynch is one of the better GMs in the league. I would not, if I was them, be confident to say, like you just said, to put Sam Darnold in there and expect that your defense and those skill position players are going to carry this team to the playoffs. No. Some guys don't belong starters anymore, and he's one of them.
I would go out and get Teddy Bridgewater before I would rock with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So yeah, we definitely got more to talk about next week. We got our post-draft show coming up next Tuesday. Kevin and Durp will be back for that one. Until
hopefully
then,
Mike will be on here.
Oh yeah. We would love that. Mike, you hear us? Come on.
All right, man.
Peace, everyone.